For the last 9 years, I have been quietly prepping through actual shortages, price spikes, and supply chain collapses. While everyone else is buying the same stuff from the same prepper lists, I stock items that are always available, cost less, and store longer. Number 7 is sitting at your local international market right now for under $4, and it contains more complete nutrition than most freeze-dried meals combined. The problem is that when everyone reads the same blogs and buys the same stuff, that is exactly what disappears first. Back in early 2020, I watched rice and beans get cleared out in under 4 hours. But the items I am about to show you? Fully stocked the next day. Before we get into this, make sure you subscribe because I am putting out content every week that the mainstream prepper channels will not touch. Let's get into it. Number 1 is going to sound boring, but it is absolute gold. Bouillon cubes. Before you dismiss this as just flavor, understand what you are actually looking at. Each cube is concentrated fat, salt, and protein in a form that never goes bad. I have cubes in my pantry that are 3 years old. Still perfect. Here is what nobody talks about. During a real shortage, food monotony causes decision fatigue. Boring food makes you stupid when you need to be smart most. These cubes turn plain rice into something your brain recognizes as an actual meal. And last winter, during a power outage that lasted 11 days, I used these to make everything edible. Plain oats, add half a chicken cube, bland pasta, beef cube. Your body does not just want variety, it needs the psychological boost of tasting something rich. Here's what I do. I keep a mix of chicken, beef, and vegetable cubes in a sealed container. 1 cube flavors an entire pot. A box of 24 cubes costs $2 at most grocery stores. Meanwhile, preppers are dropping $40 on seasoning kits that contain half the sodium your body actually needs during physical stress. Most people overlook this completely, which means it is always in stock even when everything else is gone. Look, grocery prices are climbing faster than most families can adjust to. I have done the math for you and put together a free emergency pantry blueprint that lists the exact 12 items you must keep, all of which you can buy from any regular store. And it can feed a family of 4 for 2 weeks and costs less than a single grocery trip. You can grab it for free at the link in the description so you can stop panicking and start actually prepping smart. Number 2 is something I ignored for years, and I felt like an idiot when I finally figured it out. Nutritional yeast. Before you click away thinking this is vegan hippie food, hear me out. This is a complete protein with all 9 essential amino acids, plus massive amounts of B vitamins that your body burns through during stress. A guy who manages warehouse distribution for a major health food company, 22 years in the business, told me this stuff has the longest shelf life of anything in his inventory when stored properly. Longer than you or I will be alive. I opened a container from 4 years ago last week. Tasted perfect. Here is the insight nobody shares. Your body needs fat-soluble vitamins, but it also needs B vitamins to actually use that fat. Without B vitamins, your energy crashes even if you are eating enough calories. During a 2-week grid-down situation last year, I mixed 2 tablespoons into rice while it was cooking. That is it. The taste is savory, almost cheesy, and it turns boring carbs into something that actually fuels you. A 1-pound bag costs $8 and contains about 90 servings. Compare that to multivitamins that degrade in heat and cost twice as much. Now, most preppers have never heard of this, which means it is always fully stocked. Number 3 sounds strange until you try it. Seaweed sheets. Specifically nori, the kind used for sushi. Just 1 sheet contains more iodine than most people get in an entire week. Iodine is what your thyroid needs to regulate metabolism, and it is the first micronutrient to disappear from your diet when you are eating stored food. Here is what happened in my house. I stored these in a plastic bin with a desiccant pack for 2 years. Opened it during a severe winter storm when we were stuck inside for 9 days. Still crispy, still flavorful. I tore them into strips and added them to soup. My kids ate them plain as snacks. Each sheet has about 5 calories, but the mineral content is insane. Calcium, magnesium, iron, and iodine, all in one. A pack of 50 sheets costs $3 at any Asian grocery store or online. Freeze-dried vegetable packs that claim to have the same nutrition? $30 minimum, and they taste like cardboard. And here is why this survives every shortage. Americans do not think of seaweed as food. The shelves stay full while everything else gets stripped. Number 4 is hiding in plain sight, and I am shocked more people do not talk about this. Canned coconut milk. Not the carton stuff in the refrigerated section. The full-fat canned kind. Each can has around 800 calories. Most of it from medium-chain triglycerides that your body converts to energy faster than almost any other fat. During a fuel shortage 3 years ago, I used this to make everything calorie-dense without needing extra cooking time. Here is exactly what I did. 1 can into a pot of rice. It turns 6 servings into something that keeps you full for hours. Your body needs fat. Not wants. Needs. Fat is what keeps your brain working and your nerves insulated. A 13-ounce can cost about $2. A case of 12 is under $24. Compare that to the $60 buckets of freeze-dried meals that leave you hungry an hour later. Most people walk right past this in the international aisle because they think it is only for Thai food. That ignorance is your advantage. And when I get to number 9, you're going to wonder why this is not on every single prepper list. Number 5 is going to sound too simple. Dried lentils, but not for the reason you think. Yes, they are cheap. Yes, they store forever. But here is what makes them different. Lentils cook in 20 minutes without soaking. Every other dried legume needs hours of soaking or pressure cooking. During a crisis when fuel is limited and time is compressed, that difference is massive. I keep red lentils, green lentils, and black lentils because each one cooks slightly different and tastes different. A 5-pound bag costs about $6 at any grocery store. That is 40 servings of complete protein. Last spring, when food prices spiked hard, I made lentil soup 3 times a week. Add a bouillon cube, some coconut milk, and you have a meal that costs under $1 per serving and actually fills you up. The protein content is higher than most canned meats, and unlike beans, lentils do not destroy your digestion. Most panic buyers do not even know what lentils are, which is exactly why they are always available. Number 6 is something I stumbled on by accident. Miso paste. Now, this is fermented soy in a form that lasts for years in the fridge or even longer in a cool, dark space. But here is the real reason this matters. Miso is a probiotic. Your gut health collapses when you are eating nothing but shelf-stable food. A collapsed gut means your immune system crashes. During a month-long situation 2 years ago where I was testing my pantry, I ate miso soup every morning. 1 tablespoon of paste in hot water. That is it. My digestion stayed normal while everyone around me was complaining about feeling terrible from eating stored food. A tub of miso paste costs about $7 and contains around 60 servings. It is sitting in the refrigerated section of almost any grocery store, totally ignored because people think it is complicated. It is not. 1 tablespoon, hot water, optional seaweed. Done. This stays on shelves because the average prepper does not understand fermented foods. Number 7 is the one I mentioned at the start, and it is a game changer. Ghee. This is clarified butter with all the milk solids removed, which means it does not need refrigeration, and it lasts for years. I have a jar that is 18 months old sitting in my pantry right now. Still perfect. Here is what nobody explains. Ghee has a smoke point of 485 degrees, which means you can cook with it at high heat without it breaking down into toxic compounds like most oils. During a grid-down scenario, you are going to be cooking over open flame or inconsistent heat. Ghee handles that. Plus, it is pure fat, which is exactly what your body craves when you are under physical or psychological stress. A 16-ounce jar costs about $10 at most international markets or Trader Joe's. That is 32 servings of fat that tastes good and stabilizes your energy. Meanwhile, preppers are stockpiling Crisco and vegetable oil that go rancid in under a year. Ghee is always available because most Americans have never even heard of it. Number 8 is going to surprise you. Dried mushrooms. Specifically, shiitake or porcini. These are not just flavor, they are nutrition. Dried mushrooms contain vitamin D, which your body stops producing when you are stuck indoors. They also have selenium and B vitamins that support immune function. I bought a pound of dried shiitakes 4 years ago for about $14, still using them. Now, and here is how this works in real life. Last fall, during a quarantine situation, I rehydrated a handful of mushrooms and added them to soup. The liquid they soak in becomes a broth that has more umami than any bouillon cube. 1 ounce of dried mushrooms rehydrates into about 8 ounces of cooked mushrooms. The cost per serving is under 50 cents. Compare that to canned mushrooms that are flavorless and cost $3 per can. This stays on shelves because dried mushrooms are in the specialty section that panic buyers never visit. Number 9 is the one I mentioned earlier, and it is mind-blowing once you understand it. Fish sauce. This is fermented anchovies and salt. It smells intense, but here's what it does. 1 teaspoon in a pot of rice or soup adds a depth of flavor that tricks your brain into thinking you are eating something rich and complex. More importantly, it is pure protein and salt in liquid form. Your body loses salt through sweat and stress. You need to replace it, or your muscles stop working correctly. A bottle of fish sauce costs about $4 and lasts for years because you only use a tiny amount each time. I have used this in everything from plain pasta to beans to oatmeal. Sounds weird, I know. Stay with me. The flavor disappears into the background, but the nutrition stays. A guy I know who lived through a currency collapse in another country told me fish sauce was one of the only things that stayed affordable and available because people did not understand how to use it. Most preppers will never touch this, which is exactly why it is always in stock. Number 10 is something you already know about, but you are storing it wrong. White rice. Here is the problem. Most people buy 5-pound bags and leave them in the pantry. That is a waste. A white rice lasts 30 years when stored in a food-grade bucket with an oxygen absorber. I bought 50 pounds of white rice 3 years ago for about $35. Repackaged it in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers inside a sealed bucket. That rice is still perfect, and it will outlast most freeze-dried meals. Here is what makes rice different. It is a blank slate. You can turn it into anything, depending on what you add. Bouillon cube, and it is savory. Coconut milk, and it is rich. Nutritional yeast, and it is cheesy. A 20-pound bag costs about $15 at any Asian market. That is 200 servings. Preppers are spending $200 on freeze-dried rice that tastes worse and has less calories per serving. White rice stays available because people underestimate it. Number 11 is the one almost nobody thinks about. Vinegar. Specifically, white vinegar or apple cider vinegar. This is not just for pickling. Vinegar is a preservative, a disinfectant, and a flavor enhancer. During a long-term scenario, fresh food disappears, and everything starts tasting flat. A tablespoon of vinegar in soup or on cooked vegetables wakes up your taste buds and makes food interesting again. I used vinegar during a summer power outage that lasted 8 days. I quick pickled vegetables to make them last longer without refrigeration. I used it to clean surfaces and disinfect water containers. A gallon of white vinegar costs about $3 and lasts indefinitely. Apple cider vinegar costs about $6 for a half gallon and has trace minerals your body uses. Most preppers ignore this because it seems too basic. That is exactly why it is always available. While everyone else is fighting over the same tired freeze-dried meals and 5-gallon buckets, you now know 11 items that are cheaper, easier to store, and will actually still be available when the next shortage hits. These are not exotic. These are not complicated. These are sitting on shelves right now, waiting for someone smart enough to grab them. Drop a comment telling me which of these you are going to stock up on first, because I want to know what resonates. Next week, I am revealing the 7 tools everyone thinks are essential, but are actually worthless in a real collapse scenario. Trust me, you do not want to miss that one.